Hey guys, I'm in the car and I'm driving at the moment, but I just wanted to talk about sorry if I go into like little modes of darkness, but I'd like to talk about the Kate Spade thing. I hope this don't drive you crazy. You know, everyone's talking about it's so sad that she committed suicide. I'm just going by comments, and that she had all this money and, oh, well, money don't bring you happiness. Look, when you have depression, I'm going to tell you something. Depression does not choose incomes. It can happen to the very poor, to the very rich. Just because see, people think that depression is dependent upon if you have to worry about money or not. It is not. It has. I have suffered depression when I had no problems, no outside problems whatsoever. I wasn't having problems with my family. I wasn't having problems at my job, and I swear it just hit me. And see, Kate was 55 years old. So she's right in the middle of where she would probably start hitting menopause age. One thing I can tell you that perimenopause can hit you even in your 30s. And depression is one of the symptoms or side effects of perimenopause and menopause. We women have mood swings. We have, I just know with my anxiety panic disorder, I began having more problems after I hit 40. And, where I used to be able to control it, I couldn't. I couldn't control my depression. I couldn't, you can't control your moods. So if you're having a minor problem or whatever, or problems resulting from your perimenopause, your mood swings or what happens, from what I read, I don't know how true this is, but it was reported that she and her husband were about to be separated. That could weigh in, that could have an issue with. So imagine she might have had depression because of that, or we don't know. But it can make a tiny problem seem really big, or it can take a big problem and just make it seem insurmountable. And I'm thinking this is what happened with her. It is not. I can understand. I have had suicidal feelings before. I have had feelings where I just felt no matter what I did, it wasn't going to make a difference. It is very easy to get to that point, because one thing about depression, you are at an inability to think rationally. You can't be rational in that moment. That's the problem with depression. It's the problem when people get on the board and they go, oh, I feel worthless. They're not just fishing for compliments. They're not fishing for them at all. It's just they really do feel that way. No matter who they are or how successful you think they are, they feel that way. That is a problem they have to contend with. There are days that I feel no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. And this is the depression. And I have learned to know the tricks of the trade. I know the tricks that depression pulls on you. It makes you feel like it's a really good, normal idea to kill yourself. It makes you feel like it's a good idea to feel worthless, and you understand. It makes you feel that it makes you feel these things, and you can feel like it is the most logical, reasonable thought in the world. And you have to be able to look beyond that and say, this is not okay. This is not right. And I've learned to do that. I have been bad enough depressed. Why? I had a mental breakdown 10 years ago. A complete mental breakdown where I was very sick. I should have been committed, but I didn't have, there were no resources available to me. And I had thoughts and feelings and voices telling me to do stuff. It is not you, it takes a lot of your willpower to get through that. And luckily for me, I had enough therapy in my life. I had enough of my spiritual training in my life to move beyond it. But some people really don't have anywhere to go. And it doesn't matter. There's been people who've been devout Christians turn around and just do it. So it doesn't matter what your belief system is or anything. If you're sick and you don't know the tricks that your mind will play on you, you can fall victim to it, and she fell victim to it. We don't know what was going on. So I'm so sad for her daughter, and as she did put it in a note that, for her daughter not to think it was her fault, but she lost her mother. But we can't go around and say that it was very selfish of her to do that, because in depression, I'm dark. I'm driving down the freeway here, so I'm not giving you, maybe I'll give you some lights. But, oh, there I am again. But you cannot be rational. You have to understand these people. I regularly go onto the suicide forum and I talk to people. Talking to them helps me, because sometimes it's good to talk to other people who have been there, who feel the way you do. Because sometimes when you haven't been that bad before, it can be really, you don't know the right thing to say. I mean, even sometimes myself, I have to know when to say, I understand you, because they don't want advice. They don't want to hear, give it to Jesus. They don't want to hear, oh, you just got to think positive. They don't want to hear, oh, whatever. I mean, they just want the hurt to stop. That's what they want more than anything. And sadly, people need to begin to look at, be aware of these things, because not necessarily, you have to look at the fact too that depression doesn't necessarily have to be behind a suicide. There's a chance she wasn't depressed. She might had a severe mood swing. We don't know. Again, we don't know. So these are, you might not have been depressed, and I've heard of cases where people were fine and then suddenly, bang, they had a drop in mood where they didn't want to live anymore, and they did the deed. Could they have had an underlying mental illness? We don't know, because a lot of people, there have been people who committed suicide where everyone has been stumped from it because they had no indication that the person was suffering. So I put this out here for people who may think, who may not be depressed or ever felt depressed, but feel in a moment that their life don't matter. I believe that we get fluctuations in our energy and our vibration, and we get contacted by, I'm going to tell you, sometimes the voices you can hear are very real, and sometimes I think they are disembodied spirits. People can call me crazy if they want to, but I do think there are other creatures on the inner plane, demons or whatever, other spirits could talk to you and tell you to do some shit like that. I think a lot of people who are schizophrenic really do really see that, even though psychology tells us, oh, well, that's only some fluctuation in their mind that's telling them this person is real. I think in a way maybe they are tapping into the inner plane or another dimension where they are seeing another entity. I believe wholeheartedly in that. After you've had a ghost in your house, you know that spirits are very real and that you didn't imagine that shit. I'm one of the most scientific people on the planet. I like evidence. I like things that can be explained. But I've had a lot of things in my life that I could not explain. I've had dreams. I've had things where psychology couldn't even begin to touch that. So, in knowing that, regardless of whether you believe it or not, the point is, it's very real. It can happen to you. And if you find yourself thinking something that isn't right, you got to be strong enough to tell yourself, this isn't right. I can't think this way. This is why I keep myself busy. For a depressed person, I have to stay busy. I have to keep myself reading, writing, whatever I'm making at the time. I have to do that because my mind will drive me crazy. It literally will. And I've learned a way to shut the voices up when voices start coming at me. I will always hear voices. I can't stop it. A medication won't turn it. A medication will turn me into a zombie to shut them up, but I told my doctor I didn't want them to shut up because there's a lot of voices. There are a lot of voices that have come through to me that has given me useful information. So I've learned the shit. Just like you choose your friends, you can choose your voices. You can choose your crazy people that hang around. So when I have had to just say, you need to get away from me, and they got the hell away from me. I said, I will come over wherever you are and fuck you up if I have to. And they obviously figured that I meant business and they left me alone. So this is very real, people. I just know from what I've experienced and what I've suffered. I just know from other people I have read on the forum and what they have suffered. So these feelings, when they come at you, you got to be able to stand back and observe every thought. And if you need help, there are people around who can help you. I've had people PM me and say, look, I'm feeling this way, and I can help you the best way I can. I mean, naturally, a person should always go see a doctor, a professional. I am not a licensed professional, but I will tell you that friends have helped me. Friends like my friend Deborah Dishington. There have been friends who have been a big help to me, to my mental health, more than any of the doctors have. I haven't had yet a therapist to really help me. I mean, you go there, you talk, they write shit down, and then you go to next week, and then they're back to asking you questions that you went over the week before, taking up part of your 45 minutes, and I'm like, lady, I told you this shit a week ago, and you got your notes there. You don't review them before I come in. So I have been very disillusioned by therapists. I'm sure there's some good ones out there. I just haven't got them, and I can't really afford them. A lot of us can't afford them. And I'm going to tell you another thing about the mental health industry that you might not know. A lot of these therapists get paid dick from the insurance companies. I had one therapist admit to me that she only gets paid $40 out of, she only gets $40 when I come in. This was when I had Blue Cross PPO. So they're not making a lot of money. So a lot of them just figure, well, if I'm only making $40, I can't. And then there are restrictions to what they can say and what they can't say. If you're of a different religion than Christianity, and you want to talk about, I have done a lot of studying in different religions, different faiths. hermeticism, the occult. I have done all of those. But when you have a therapist and when you want to talk about certain spiritual topics that these people have no dealings in, they're not going to know how to reach out to you. There's that. So a lot of people, you find some people commit suicide because there's just no one at their level to really reach them and talk to them about something they feel no one can understand them. I felt like that for years. And I was pretty much left to heal myself mostly, despite the few friends that I had, and, my husband and my kids. I felt you feel utterly and totally alone. And then when you get to a point where the loneliness just drives you crazy, you make a bad decision. But I will say that suicide will not bring you the relief you think it is. I do know from experience there is another place. I know there are other dimensions. I know there are other worlds. Just because I've had people say, well, so-and-so died and he came back and he said there was nothing. Well, the spirit doesn't always see or gonna experience anything in the first few minutes after death. It might sometime, but there is no time on the inner plane. There is no time in the other reality. So by the moment you realize, hey, some years may have gone by before you go, oh, wow, I'm dead. Some people is immediate. Some people is not so immediate. Some people might not know it's anything. They might just go to nothing if that's what they think. I haven't experienced everything, but I have had experiences. I have spoken with people who have passed. I have had, enough to where I know is something. So I do believe we do come here for a purpose, if not to one thing I can say that could help anyone who feels their life is just downright meaningless is to reach out to someone else and help them. If you feel your life is just in the utter shithole, then do something nice for someone else. Take the focus off yourself. I volunteered when I was at the worst of it. I couldn't stand being in the room with myself. It was just too much. So I volunteered at the hospital. I worked as a volunteer before I decided to go into try nursing out. But being at the hospital and working around the kids made me feel something. No, I wasn't happy. I was still depressed, but it made all the difference in the world to me were being around those kids and playing and making a difference to them. And then I have my own kids, so find a way to reach out to someone else. And, if you play music, go to an old folks home. There are a bunch of lonely people there. You could play, do crafts or something like that. Try out a soup kitchen. I know some people who were helping in the soup kitchen, said that it helped with their depression and helped them not feel so like they didn't matter so much. So there's a lot that you got to look at it as an illness. You are ill. You are mentally ill. Just like a person has diabetes and any other disorder. And just like with my mental disorders, I look at it the same way a diabetic looks at it. There's some things I can't do. I can't drink anymore. I can't take drugs. I can't do anything. I used to love to have a glass of wine and stuff like that, but alcohol has the opposite effect on me now. It does nothing but triggers my panic attacks. I can't have caffeine anymore. So, I've had to make dietary changes. I have to work out. I know working out has helped my moods a lot better. It has also helped me stay focused mentally more, even though, and I'm going to say even though I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. I still make myself do it. Of course you don't want to do it because you're depressed. So, and you don't have, trust me, it takes every bit of my bloody willpower to get out of that bed in the morning. It takes every bit of my willpower to do things, but it takes training to get there. I've had to train myself to get to that point. Okay? I didn't just go, boom, oh, I know how to manage my depression. This took a number of years to do. It took a lot of my energy. So I'm telling you this because I'm cutting the light on. I'm telling you this because people go, oh, well, that's you. It is not me. I fought to get here, okay? Nothing, it's realizing that I had no choice, all right? My choice at the moment was it was either going to do me in, it was going to do me in, or one of us was going to, I was going to die if I didn't get the help, because my body was so weak at the time. When you have a mental breakdown, you are weak. You are very weak. You are physically weak. You feel sick. It feels like you're so exhausted. It feels like your heart's going to give out any moment. So no, I didn't just step up to the plate and I'm just this super person to fight depression. I have been through my depression would take different modes. There were times where I didn't get hopeless or anything. I get to the point where I just couldn't sleep and it make me manic. And if you don't get enough sleep, you will actually get kind of, you get manic. So it wouldn't let me sleep. There were times where I would just have back-to-back just panic attacks like they were freaking labor pains or something. So you have to know the tricks and say, okay, you want to pull this shit? I'm going to do this now. You have to look at it like you're battling a foe almost. And you got to understand that I can beat this. You get to a point where I can beat this person. And it tricks you. It does. It's like a trickster. It does try to pull shit on you. You could have emotions come out of you that you never imagined. Where you think, oh, I just can't do this no more. I'm going to die. And you sit there and you have to, and journaling helped me because I would write this stuff down and read it back. And it just, what in the hell? You're able to look at your thoughts and go, or something jars you. I mean, I lost my cousin, a close cousin of mine, back in April. Kind of jar, and I was at the worst of my depression then, but I was able, and I hated losing my cousin. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna go back home and I'm just gonna crash. I'm just not gonna be able to do this. But seeing my family I hadn't seen in a while actually wound up being a good thing. So there was a positive thing that came out of her death, So I'm sorry to talk so long, but I think this was a serious subject. I know I know people, I try to I have people to watch videos and I just put them on while I'm doing stuff and listen to you guys. So I do listen for those of my friends like Drea and so who like to post video vlogs and stuff. So I hope you can, if you're suffering from depression, I hope you listen to what I have to say. I hope you got something out of it. Sorry, my car is all weird and shit, lights and going on and stuff. But and I'm looking at this. Looks funny. I don't know where to look. I don't know where the hell my camera is. So my eyes are probably going over here, over there, or up there. So cut me a little slack here. So. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good night. I'll end it. I'm at 24 minutes. Ooh, I know you guys are going to say, fuck, she's talking again. So, have a good night. Till my next one. Bye.